Welcome to the Enterprise Excellence Podcast, where our purpose is to help create a better future. Learn from our world's experts how to improve your organisation sustainably. Learn how to achieve and sustain an excellence journey for yourself, others, and the planet.
And I'm your host, Brad Jevons, coming to you from Brisbane, Australia. We are proudly brought to you in association with SA Partners, a world-leading business transformation consultancy. SA Partners are a truly purposeful company focused on helping organisations achieve sustainable improvement for themselves, others, and the planet.
Welcome to episode 53 of the Enterprise Excellence Podcast. Today we are chatting again with Mr David Mann in the final instalment of this two-part episode. In the previous episode with David, we spoke about creating a lean management system with visual controls at the front line and support from middle management. We talked about showing employees respect by asking them to contribute to the problems that aggravate them daily. The lean management system that David developed has a powerful positive effect on how people think about the place where they come to work every day. It is a great episode to listen to before you get to this one if you have the chance. Today we'll chat about the role of middle and senior management in this lean management system. Let's get into the episode. So David, with lean management system, being able to create the visual controls at the front line so you can capture hour by hour and get the reds, which are really just the challenges from the day before, and capture the data that, I guess it's like you mentioned, the ability for that person or that person on the front line to be able to write down what they believe it was and get that initial data, and then have that go to an accountability meeting, which involves the cross-functional support people above, and then you're creating another visual accountability system off the back of that, where you're committing to get things fixed and solved there. And that's going on to that, that chart you mentioned where you've got a line for each person, and then you've got the days upcoming that you can easily assign that, and red and green that too. Now, what about middle management and senior leadership, David, in the lean management system? Like, what do you find critical from that point of view? Because I've got to imagine that system's it's running well, but senior leadership or middle management could come in and either help it or hinder it at the same time.
Exactly. The response to that, so I'm now in a different position. I'm leading an internal team, and we're working on enterprise lean stuff, cross-functional business process improvements. And we could only do this because we had the support of the handful of senior executives, CEO, direct report, corporate officer people, who they contributed a person to this. It was the Office Lean Consulting Team by name. They contributed a person, so they had that kind of skin in the game, and they, wanted us to focus on. I remember one of the problems that we took on to work on was one that I've got one of those, engraved glass paperweights for being on a team to solve this problem that dated back 25 years from when I first joined the company. And we're working on the same problem. It really resisted being solved. So it was going to require some support from senior executives, because the problem crossed their organization into one of their peers' organizations.
Yeah.
So we really needed their involvement more than just here's some headcount and go do good work. And we got into a situation where I went to my boss, who was one of these senior leaders, and I'd go meet with her every 4 or 6 weeks. And I'd walked in and sat down. We had a good relationship, and she tells me, "David, you have a problem." Got my attention right away, and the problem was that we were losing the interest of the senior executives whose support we needed to continue doing this work. because, you know, you're crossing organizational boundaries. It's sensitive stuff. So I definitely took this seriously. Went back and met with the team, the Office Lean Consulting team, and we asked ourselves some very basic questions. We had been making basic mistakes. We asked ourselves basic questions, and the first question was, who are these people? What do we know about them? And you know, everyone on the team had, you know, been at the company for, you know, a minimum of 5 years, and many a lot more than that. So it's like a little village. You know, we knew the executives. We had come from their areas, and we so this is where we're moving from the plant or office floor, beyond the support groups, to the senior people, who are the ones who have the you know, can encourage improvement activities going on. And we found that we'd been taking them for granted. We'd been treating them as though we were trying to teach them lean the way we were taught lean, which was by learning to be a lean implementer apprentice, in which they had no interest at all.
Yeah.
A couple of them had come up through operations. They didn't want to do that. They, you know, that was not their work to do. And the others were like, I've never worked in implementing change. And we devised, we'd been Gemba walking with them. And I talked about what we went from and to in the Gemba walk, in part of the book. But the long and the short of it was, we wanted them to be able to see with their own eyes what was happening at the workface, whether it was in an office or in a factory. And so we thought the best way to do that would be to teach them how to assess the health of the lean management system, which, as we were just talking about, is all visual. There's nothing hidden there. And so we started Gemba walking them on the lean management system, on the proposition that if you see that the lean management system is healthy, it's a very simple matter of saying these are the things you should look for. If the lean management system is healthy, you can be confident that the lean production system is healthy. But if the lean management system is not healthy, neither is the lean production system. This was our assertion, and I've seen it many times. I've seen that as the case. So when we asked ourselves, who are these people? So these are very competitive, very fast learners, eager to be able to make a difference. Some of them thirsting for some hands-on, and definitely wanting to drive change. So there are some documents, all of which are for free download at my website, that are assessments of the lean management system, and it's single trial learning. We'd go down to an area where there's a project. There would be charts like in the background in your on your side of the recording, and we'd say, so what do you think? And they'd say, oh well, it looks, it's neat. It's got some stuff written on it. I can see that. And we would do one of my primary lean teachers is an engineer, Marek Pietkowski, who was a Toyota assembly plant manager in Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And I was lucky enough to have him as a teacher. And he was, his native language is Polish. And he would imitate the Toyota Motors North America, Canada, president Gemba walking him, Marek. And so I'm out on the floor. He's telling, you learn lean by telling stories about it in a lot of ways. So he's telling me a story about being out on the floor with his executive president to whom he's reporting, and he would say, and so my president told me, "Oh, Merrick, no good." So Merrick's like, I have to figure out what no good means now. So I would do that, and we would do that. Each of the team members, we each would do these walks with the new material for executive Gemba walks, some coaching. And say, so what do you see? He said, well, they're rated on a 5-point scale, each one of these dimensions.
Yeah.
No, I'd say they're probably a high 3, low 4. And at that point, we do the Merrick, no good. The idea is to teach them to see what we were seeing, and these visual controls they're visual. You can tell at a glance with 30 seconds of explanation what good and bad are.
Yeah.
And so we're walking off the floor after this observation down on where a project is going on, and we'd ask them, how would you rate them? We'd give them the, "Oh, David, no good." And then you have about a 90-second teachable moment. And these are people who've gotten an A on every test they've ever taken. This is a test, and they really want to know how to do well next time. So they're really focused. You say, well, what I saw was, and then you give a couple of details that would be the sort of the critical factors you'd look for, and say, well, then we'll come back. We'll go to a different area, next time, and we'll see how it goes. And they were one trial learners. They would pick that stuff up, like that.
Yeah, and you don't have to sit them in a classroom for half a day, which they don't have time
which
for.
They hate.
They hate with a passion.
Yeah.
Their world is busy.
Yes. So this was something that, the way this works, or at least the way it's worked in my experience, you get some articulate, often a technical person, typically an engineer, who can make the case for why lean's important, and why you should sign up for these objectives for your next quarter or for your next year, for your function, Mr. or Ms. Vice President. They wanted to hit those objectives, and they found that this ability to assess for themselves rather than the sanitized reports that filter up to them, we wanted them to see for their own eyes, and to ask us, who do you think I should talk to about making sure that this problem at the very base level, that this problem gets solved, because they recognize that somewhere between these frontline people doing their work and up through the management structure reporting to the executive, there's a break in the chain of implementing lean down through the chain of command. Yeah. And that's a responsibility that's unique to managers. Those are improvements that only managers can make. We would give them, we weren't throwing anybody under the bus, but we're saying, maybe you could, go talk to Joanne in this area. So Joanne was going to get Gemba walked, and get some feedback on what the expectation was from her ultimate boss. Wow. And that has worked very well.
Go to enterpriseexcellencepodcast.com/downloads to download a lean management system form David has kindly provided. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast to help others gain insights and create a better future. Let's get back into the episode. It sounds like an amazing journey to bring the leadership on and really help them. One, I guess you got their voice to really understand them, and then created a lean management system that they play a part in that they valued. And then you put some structure to it, David, like these assessment forms or these review forms that you had for them. What did they look like? Like, I guess they were to really be able to go down and help them understand just by looking at the form and with a bit of coaching, but then also be able to mark, is it a 1, is it a 3, is it a 4, is it a 5?
So we did 2 or 3 things. One is we created a set of forms that was designed for executive students, 1 page, what the intent is, 5 or 6 questions, and you take a highlighter and highlight 1 or 2 for today's Gemba walk. When we started that, we had a 1-page handout, which is also, stuff is all, freely accessible. A 1-page handout. It was in a PowerPoint notes page in sort of like, I don't know, like 16 or 18 point type, so it was easy to read. I mean, so you could read it standing up. It was simple. And it described these 2 unique responsibilities of managers. They're responsible for the fidelity of the chain of command, their chain of command, in implementing down through the chain, and they were responsible for their strategy. And in most cases, and I don't think this was unusual in our case, these executives, they're extremely capable people, but they don't know anything about lean, and you wouldn't expect them to.
Yeah.
But they've now endorsed the lean strategy as that's baked into their annual goals. So we wanted them, and we thought it would be helpful for them to be able to assess the health of the lean strategy by assessing the health of the lean management system at the lowest level, at the frontline level in their organization. And so this is all on a 1-page, very straightforward. This is why we're doing this, because we think this will provide you with a better day at work. Yeah. Because it's gonna be able to identify problems for you and help you resolve them. And anytime you ask someone to do something different from what their regular practice is, there's a thought bubble that immediately forms, the content of which is, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what's in it for the executives is, you can be confident that you know what the state of your strategy is, and you can be confident that you understand the fidelity with which your chain of command can implement direction all the way down through. And I think that's worked. It speaks to them.
Yeah. And I love that language you use there too, David, because the senior executive going to the Gemba, going to the front line and learning and assessing, I guess a lot of their thought is, where do I need to apply energy? Where do I need to learn, and where do I need to grow, and where do I need to apply energy down through the management levels to help improve the front line? Because they're the leaders of the leaders, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if they can demonstrate, I mean, people used to joke with us about leaders on the floor. Oh, there was an executive sighting today. It's like the Queen has been spotted down on the floor.
Yeah.
Because it was very unusual. What we wanted, among many things, but what we wanted executives to do would be able to go to the place. This is the absolute basic. Go to the place, look at the process, talk to the people, and all those reports immediately fade into the background when someone says, I mean, I had this experience. I went and talked to a team leader in one of the factories it was sort of a circuit rider in. I would go to occasionally, and I asked this zone leader of how this. It was a production tracking chart, right? Uh, I asked him how this chart was working for him, and he used an obscenity, which I won't use here, but it had to do with the southbound end of a northbound bull. And he tears it off the wall and he says, "This thing is worthless. I've been writing stuff on this chart for 6 weeks. Not a single thing has happened."
Yeah.
So where's the problem? Problem is not the zone leader. He's frustrated because he's not getting his problem solved. And so the problem is someplace between the zone leader and the executive vice president. And it's the executive vice president's unique responsibility to do something about that.
Yeah. He's the leader of the leader. His job is to coach and lead performance of the leaders.
That's right.
Yeah. David, I've got a question going through my mind is often the language and the body language and the verbal language that senior leaders use when they're at Gemba can either go well or go badly. What did you experience in that regard with taking those senior leaders to the front line? Did you have any experiences when their language was maybe not helpful? And how did you deal with that?
Well, so this one page Gemba note-taking sheet starts. It's got the intent. So we're looking at visual controls. So there's a brief statement of intent, and then there are 5 or 6 or 7 questions, 3 or 4 of which we're asking the executive to learn something about, to be able to make a judgment on. So that's actually a script.
Yeah. Nice.
So Brad, tell me about the the ZipNert throughput issues and the way you can tell if you're on track or not. Oh, well, so I can talk the talk, and I understand enough about this because we've had a 3-minute conversation between the elevator and this part of the office floor, and they are very quick, and they're used to talking to people after they've had some staff preparation, and this document and this process is all the staff preparation that they needed to be able to carry on a pretty impressive sounding conversation about an issue that had been going on in this part of the business. And and the expectation was, if there's a problem, I want you to tell me about it. You don't have to name names, but I want you to tell me about it because this is important to our strategy. And he can do like 30 seconds on why is this important. And they were very good at it. They're impressive. They're impressive people.
That's amazing. So in a way, David, you're describing the standard of that Gemba form, that form you developed, and the coaching that you gave that leader as you went to the front with them, basically created the system that they could be effective with. I really like that description. It makes it simple, doesn't it?
Yeah, one of our executive clients, one of the team members, met her, for one of these Gemba walks, and she said, "Oh, what's the process today? Right? What are we going to go look at? I'm ready." So you've got the agenda for the Gemba walk. It's completely on this one page. You've got the agenda, you've got the process, you have a bit of a script, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, and they're learning by doing.
They're learning by doing, and it's also important. what we found when they stopped coming to our Gemba walks was that it was uncomfortable for them. You know, they'd ask a simple question, and there would be a value stream map that very complicated if you've never seen one before.
Yeah.
And these were office processes, so they were much more complicated in many cases than the manufacturing ones. And the team member or members who are narrating the map are using language that's not familiar to them. And so you can sort of see the, beam me up, Scotty signal, in their thought bubble. But when they were prepared and felt prepared, they were confident and comfortable and competent at making this assessment and at participating in this interaction.
Yeah.
And we never missed. We had prior to that, we went back and took a look when I went back to the team after Nancy told me I had a problem. It turns out that we'd kept good records, and exactly half the Gemba walks had been canceled, never rescheduled. And so that was the problem, losing their interest. So we redid the processes we've just been talking about, and they'd show up for every one.
Yeah. They felt comfortable. There was a structure.
Yeah. It was they knew what to expect of them, and they were getting something out of it.
Yeah, that's powerful. David, with the discussion we've been having, it's so powerful. Create visual controls on the front line that allows us to identify challenges, and then have the visual meeting above that to be able to, pull together the right cross-functional team members to be able to solve those and make that visual so exactly what we're for, where we've got challenges with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then build a system to enable the executive to go to Gemba and learn in a simple, structured way that then allows them to go back and, coach and develop their leaders below them to be able to have the whole system healthy. But
That's right.
What stops organizations implementing this type of system, David? Because I'm sure, I guess I know myself, not every organization does this, but what stops them doing it, and how can they go about avoiding that?
It's that's a difficult question.
It's $1 million question sometimes, isn't it?
But I think part of it for us was what enabled us to be successful was, first of all, that we'd kept the activities that we're talking about, the office team activities, came after 3 terrible years of contraction after the dot-com bubble collapsed.
Right.
And we weren't selling a lot of office furniture because people were getting rid of office furniture as they went out of business. And the lean work that we'd done, that the company had done in the factories, had enabled us to reduce a lot of space, to become much more efficient, and basically, keep the doors open. We, executives have, were persuaded that was true. So we had a good reputation going in, and then we made this, we recovered after learning that we were failing to engage the interest of our customers, and we did something about it. And it turned out that design was, they liked it. And I think they felt it was useful, and it enabled them to see into parts of their own organizations that heretofore they were impenetrable.
Yeah.
But this was a way of looking all the way down through, and I think they found that really beneficial.
Mm.
And there is a test after every one, and they got an A on every test. So you're going to like that class, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Because I guess a lot of executives, either consciously or unconsciously, they'll often be fed filtered data and filtered information. So there's nothing more powerful
No,
than actually going and seeing.
Brad, how can you say such a thing? It's uh, in used to drive cross country on vacation when I was a poor graduate student, and that was the only way I could travel. And we'd stay in these roadside motels out in the middle of North America.
Oh, wow.
These, mom and pop motels, and you get the key and you go into your motel unit, and and I'm and on the commode in the bathroom there was a strip of paper about, I don't know, inch and a half wide that went around the seat.
Yeah, I know
And
those.
on that strip of paper is printed sanitized for your protection. And that's what executives get.
Yeah,
It's sanitized information for someone's protection.
yeah,
And when an executive knows that she can cut through that, because I've been there and I've seen it and I've talked to the real people. I've gone to the place, I've observed the process, and I've talked to the people, and I liked what I saw or I didn't like what I saw. Let's have a conversation about this.
yeah. It's brilliant, isn't it? It just
Yeah,
cuts through,
yeah, it's simple.
and the culture would, with the right approach, then for the leaders below them, where they're coaching and really working to develop them and help them grow, you'll have an amazing culture. A completely transparent culture where it's all about, helping the front line. But then my job as an executive is to help the leaders below me grow and develop too.
Exactly. And and it also, it gives them insight into their subordinate leaders
Yeah,
that they probably wouldn't have had before.
yeah, it's amazing.
So yeah,
And we're doing a as part of the podcast, we're doing a 2 minute tip element too. There's a lot of people are busy, you don't get a chance to listen to the full podcast. But what for yourself, what would be a 2 minute tip that you'd give to the audience in your area of expertise to help them move forward and create a better future for themselves?
so I would go to the place, look at the process, the Ono chalk circle, talk to the people, um, and consider that what you're looking for is the health of a production system at the front line. So getting a coffee cup and a T-shirt that has the program of the month is very different from going and seeing yourself. And I think that element of it is real straight Toyota. Go to the floor, go look for yourself, and be well enough prepared that you can evaluate what you're seeing, and where intervention is called for, you have the resources to and the knowledge to at least call for an intervention, if not do the intervention yourself.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I could imagine too, David, if executives start going to the front line and looking in and they find it hard to see what's going on, well, that poses the next step, doesn't it? It's like we've then got to create the visual controls and the visual workplace so that everyone can see what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's the rare executive. This is especially true. Well, it's true both in manufacturing, if you have a non-manufacturing executive, because they're in a factory, which can be, noisy, dirty, potentially dangerous, or just foreign, or you've got an office where I don't really understand what the process is here. So you need to equip them to be successful students, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, that's neat. Thanks, David. And David, what's been a recent insight that you've had that you didn't know before? What's been a recent learning for you?
I'm trying to think. I think that has more to do with a program orientation. What's the program of the month or the program of the quarter? Uh, as opposed to it's our work. What is our work? What adds value to our customers? What allows our workers to add the most value in the work that they're doing? I think not lose focus on an orientation of reducing the interruptions, frustrations, and delays that people experience, whether they're working with their hands or working in a computer environment. You look, I wouldn't expect an executive to necessarily know what the 7 wastes are or 8 wastes or whatever your list is, but it might not be a bad idea to start with 1 or 2, like waiting, for example.
Waiting's a big one. Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Or some other thing that happens to strike you as if we could get rid of passing stuff back and forth, or if we can minimize or at least reduce the number of approvals necessary. It's sort of like it's sort of like we're trying to teach them to be mountain climbers, going up a sheer face, but we want to make sure to teach them how to use the pitons and the bolts.
Yeah.
As they work their way up, so that they can identify those elements that will help them get closer to where the actual performance or impediments to performance can be seen.
Just in time training and coaching. But that's powerful.
Yeah.
I guess too, like you said, Dave, the more it's earlier when you and I are chatting, the more it's pull based, where it's really determined based on their main desires or the drivers at the moment, the more powerful that learning will be also.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, it shows there are responsibilities that are unique to senior managers that I don't think they get much help with.
No.
And being able to teach them to be able to reveal what they're looking at and to understand it and to be able to take appropriate corrective action where necessary. That's a real, that's helping them do their jobs better and helping them have a better day at work.
Yeah.
So that they can have that dinner table conversation.
Dude,
remember Hermione, who's I was always complaining about? Yes, dear, I remember that. Well, today I had this conversation and I think it's going to be better. So that's good.
Yeah, neat. You have a lot better dinner conversations all over the country, all around the town where the business is based. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Hey,
right.
David,
That'd be great.
David, how can people reach out to you? Like, I really appreciate the knowledge and insights you've shared. If people want to reach out and study more, learn more, how can they reach out to you and connect?
So I'm easy to find. I've got a website that's in. If you Google David Mann, one of them is a motorcycle artist. No kidding, but the other one is me, and my contact information is there. As you and I were talking about earlier, I'm no longer doing on-site consulting, but if you've been working through creating a lean culture and have questions, I'm more than happy to answer your questions, whether individually or in a group session, whether on Zoom or just over voice. So I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to give back.
Thanks so much, David. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your knowledge and insights to help us all create a better future. It's helped me in, the book, Creating a Lean Culture, and I'm sure it will help many more in years to come. Thank you again, David.
Sure enough, Fred. Thank you for the opportunity.
Cheers. What a great episode. Remember, you can go to our website, enterpriseexcellencepodcast.com/downloads to get hold of a lean management system form David has kindly provided. please like, subscribe, and share this podcast to help others gain insights and create a better future. There were 2 key takeaways for me from this episode. Make challenges visible, and secondly, lead and support the teams creating value. David made the great point during the episode that a team needs to be able to see where their challenges are occurring. It is impossible to improve something if you can't see what the biggest challenges are. David mentioned many simple systems that teams can use to create visible process, performance, and make challenges visible, enabling focused continuous improvement to occur. The second key takeaway for me was to lead and support the teams creating value. David mentioned the importance of leadership going to where value is created in their organizations to learn. From this learning, they can reflect and take action to improve themselves or to help others if needed to build and sustain a culture of continuous improvement. David also mentioned the importance of the team huddle above the frontline team. This is a team and meeting that is critical to overcoming impediments and supporting continuous improvement where value is created. Frontline teams can't do everything themselves. They are busy producing value. They need support from other teams to overcome challenges and improve for their customers. Thanks again for such an amazing episode, David. We really appreciate you helping us create a better future. Bye for now.